Hello, beauties. I'm feeling inspired, so I'm here in my pajamas talking with you from Napa, California. I wanted to say that one of the ways I feel like we are really ruining our relationships and having our relationships be ruined is because we're not sure how to be with other people in the unknown, in the things that are uncomfortable, in that awkward pause. And you don't need to be a trained therapist to be there powerfully for a friend. But no one ever really taught us how to do this. And so, what happens when someone shares something that's really uncomfortable for you? Often you're going to want to tell them, oh, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. This is a big Spanish thing. No pasa nada. Have a beer. Relax. It'll be all right. Or maybe you want to give them a truism. Like, well, life is change, or everything is temporary, or, we're all going to die in the end. Something to just sort of put a little bow on whatever's happening for them and be like, often we want to give advice, we want to fix. This is a big way that men often step in to help because of how they're wired and how they've been taught to manage themselves, is they'll either distract you from what's happening or they'll try and fix it. And this is not men being assholes. We often give the tools to other people that we use for ourselves that make us feel better. But what happens in these situations is that the person sharing, and maybe it's you sharing and you're being received like this, you feel really alone. And it can even feel like sad or shameful that you shared it all. Like maybe you shouldn't be feeling this way. Maybe it's not okay. Maybe it's an imposition to somebody else. And it makes you kind of start to pull in and feel a sense of distrust. Things happen. I had somebody that I dated in Scotland recently. He was going to come visit me, and he just needed to do a wee little procedure. Imagine that in a Scottish accent. So his wee little procedure turned out to be stage 4 cancer. And what do you do in that moment? And here he is. He doesn't know if he's going to live or die. He has 5 kids. And what I watched him grapple with, and one of the things that I talked about with him a lot as he went through this journey, was, okay, you're going to start to notice a difference in the people around you. And there's going to be people who can hang in there with you in the unknown and be there and be curious with you and sit in the dark with you and hold hands with you and listen and pay attention. And then there's going to be people who just can't. And it's not because they don't love you, it's because they don't have that skill set, because it's too scary. These truths are too scary, that we can't control everything, that sometimes things happen, that there are moments where we feel genuinely afraid and there's nothing to fix, or there's nothing that we can personally do. And I watched him grapple with that. I watched him grapple with not only having the experience, which was so scary, and of course he was all over the map in terms of like sometimes feeling resourced and positive, and sometimes feeling like it would be better to just lay down and die now. And then trying to hold his experience in a way that was light enough for other people to be able to engage with it. Now, if you've ever been through hell, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I have been through some crazy things, and a lot of what's made it lonely in the moment or afterwards is feeling like it's not okay to talk about, or feeling like it's going to be too heavy for the person that I share it with, and then they're going to have a reaction, and then I'm going to have to tend to their reaction. And so whatever's happened to you, whether it's been sexual abuse or illness or something that's happening with your partner right now, or you feel depressed but you feel like you should be happy, the aloneness of how you feel like you have to hold it makes you feel further and further away from other people. And maybe you've had the experience that you've shared this thing and someone has either ignored it and tried to share their experience to kind of like make it okay, or shared a truism, or just really not been able to be with you in that. And we see this all the time on a smaller scale in romantic relationships. Have you ever felt like you're competing with the other person to feel seen and heard? Oh my God, it happens all the time. Like someone says, you did this and it felt really bad and I had this thing come up, and you're like, well, oops, I'm getting a little notice here. Well, you're like, but you did this thing and that felt bad too, and I did this thing because you did this thing. And then suddenly you're in this competition, you're two little kids being like, look at me, I'm in pain. Because neither of you had the resources to sit down and give the empathy and the mirroring to the other person first, so that they can actually turn around and listen to you. So when you're with somebody in pain, I don't know why it's giving me this notice. When you're with somebody in pain, hi Kate, what do? First of all, sit with your own discomfort in the unknown. Sit with the impulse in you that wants to fix it, that wants to make it go away, that wants to take the pain away. Sit there in that space. Breathe, relax into your own body. And then when someone's sharing, after they've shared, mirror what they just said. It can be word for word, if you need to. It can be a synopsis like, wow, like I really heard you say this stuff. And then how does that feel for you in your body? Like, oh my God, that feels really intense. Like I feel really sad that I can't fix it. And wow. Then reflect how that is for them. How are they feeling right now? Oh my God, you must be so scared. It must be so hard to not know what to do right now. Like see them, reflect back. Right? So mirror what they said, share how it felt for you in your body, your experience, and then also how did that feel for them? Now see if you can put it into context for what you know about them. So for example, I came out to the US, which has been really overwhelming, really beautiful, but also some very difficult things. Big culture shock, really kind of seeing the US from a different vantage point, wondering if I belong here. And then I got the COVID shot now, and I'm sure this is not going to happen for everyone. But I had some really bad reactions to them. I had neurological reactions, and I ended up speaking with a neurologist. I ended up going to the ER and getting a $5,540 bill because I don't have US insurance, which was traumatizing in its own right. And I spoke with two doctors, and there's been a lot of symptoms that I don't know how to explain, and I'm hoping will go away, but they definitely don't fit the list. And if you're curious what shot I got Johnson & Johnson. If you look at that in the context of my life, almost dying through medical malpractice, being basically bankrupted by the US medical system through a doctor's mistake, through doctor errors, that's a big deal. So if you were to mirror me in that place, and I came and I'm like, oh, I'm having these neurological symptoms, oh, like this is happening. One way you could put that into context to really have me feel seen is to say, wow, this must be even scarier because it's a replay of the stuff that happened to you. I'm sure this and this is coming up. Like, this is how somebody feels seen. Notice in the tools that I'm giving you, none of it is fixing it. To really be with somebody, unless you're the doctor who can fix it, or you're the person who has that exact skill set and that's the contract that you have with that person. Like if somebody comes to see me as a client, okay, we're going to fix it. Whatever is happening, we're going to go in and we're going to really unpack it and do the repair needed. But I'm guessing that that's not your role with most of the people in your life. Seeing them, making them feel interconnected, helping them to feel like they don't have to hold the thing by themselves, that you can be there and hold their hand in the dark, is huge. It is huge. It's almost everything. And it will help them just deal with the thing that's happening and not the feeling of disconnection and shame that comes with what's happening. And these are things you can also ask for if you're the person going through the thing. I had two people, actually. I met a neurologist on Tinder. And I shared my medical bill with him because we were talking about neuroscience and the symptoms and all of the things. And he really went into his own reactivity about being on the other side, being a doctor, and patients reacting to billing and all of this stuff. And I said, hey, whoa, this feels really bad. It's me typing over text. This feels really bad, to a stranger, by the way, more or less. I'm sharing something personal and I'm feeling really alone in the way that you're reacting. And he said, well, what would you have liked? And I'm like, I would have really liked to feel felt and seen and connected. Like, this is personal to me and I have history with this. And he apologized and he was able to show up in a different way. I also had a family member who just, in her way of trying to cope with what was happening, completely has ignored anything I've said that's been uncomfortable and just sort of made small talk. And I had a moment too where I was like, wow, this is feeling really one-sided and I feel really bad in this. And, please do better. and the conversation we had was about how she didn't know how to respond. Like, it was so intense and she felt so helpless that she just completely ignored it. So what happens if you've been being this way with somebody else? You can do the repair. I did the repair with both of these people yesterday. One who was a relative stranger and one who was a family member, where I was like, wow, this is how it feels. Like, my God, I'm just feeling like I don't want to share anymore with you because it feels so bad to share. And them saying, okay, what would you like? And with the family member, I was like, really, when she shared about what she was actually feeling and the helplessness, I'm like, that felt great to hear. That felt connected, of how you felt in your body, of how you wish you could be there. Like, that felt good to me. I felt like I wanted to keep sharing with you then. So if you've been messing up, you can make the repair. And repairs really can strengthen a relationship. We all mess up. We all at moments don't know what we're doing. That's okay. If you mess it up, 99.9% of the time, at least in my experience, you can fix it. You can go back and say, like, wow, this is where I feel like I made a mistake. This is what I would like to do. This is what I've learned about it. I'm so sorry. I'm sure this is how it felt for you to be on the receiving end of what I did. I'm going to do better. And then use the tools I'm giving you. And it really makes a difference. Okay, I'm so glad that this is landing for you. Yeah. And most of us feel like, okay, if I can fix it, then I'm helping, as opposed to, like, if I can sit with you and hold your hand in the dark, then I'm helping. My friend went through cancer. I mean, gratefully, like, he's on the other side. He's been through massive surgery. He's been freaking heroic. But the way that I could help was to let him know that he wasn't alone, to let him know that he wasn't failing for being a human being, for being in situations that he couldn't control. And that in and of itself is huge for anybody. So please let me know how those tools go. Leave a comment. I love seeing the comments. And besitos and abrazos from Isis in her pajamas. Not in Spain right now, in Napa.